This is the iGo Titan. It's sort of a full suspension, very well priced, mid-drive electric bicycle. What really stood out to me about this bike when I first saw it was the rear suspension here and kind of the cool design. You've got the battery pack up off the back. It kind of looks like a fender on the back of a motocross bike. And having ridden it several times now and actually visiting the headquarters and hearing more about this bike, it's made in Canada, or actually I suppose it's made overseas, but it's sort of imported and sold through a Canadian company in Montreal. They've been doing these, and they actually designed this with the manufacturer in China since 2005. And it's designed to just be a really affordable option that leverages the mid-drive system, which gives you a little bit better climbing ability and some efficiency. It also keeps the weight of the drive system low and center. So this is about $1,700, and they do free shipping in Canada, or it's like $100 to ship it in the USA. And that's pretty good. I mean, you can't really get systems like this for that price anywhere else. Of course, it is a little bit lower price. So I'm gonna touch on some of the specs and just give you an idea of what you get in terms of a bicycle. I love Wego pedals, and these ones offer pretty good traction. They're wide, so there's just, a good place to put your foot. It's not gonna slip off. You've got 8 gears here, and you shift them there with the grip shifter. Shimano Alivio in the rear, standard kind of cassette. You've got mechanical disc brakes using these Tektro brake levers, and they actually cut off power to the motor, which is really nice because this uses pedal assist, and if you were pedaling, the motor could keep going for a little bit, but as soon as you pull that, it cuts it, which is excellent. So here's the mechanical disc brake I was talking about, Tektro 160 millimeter. You got quick release front and rear. You got quick release on the seat post adjust. So good stuff, kickstand. It keeps the bike upright pretty well. The RockShox is nice that it actually has some adjustment and a lockout, so that would reduce some of your bobbing. But frankly, with this one, you can't really adjust the rear suspension, and this thing is kind of bouncy. It's not the highest quality suspension out there. You could upgrade it. It would just cost several hundred more dollars, and to keep the price point low on this, that's kind of what you get. Frankly, this isn't I wouldn't take this like into the mountains or anything. You kind of be bouncing all around, and the bike's about 58 pounds, so it's not super light, and the weight of the battery is high up and in the rear, and so it's just, in terms of balance and everything, it's not something that you'd really want to go mountain biking with. But if you're riding around town and there's rocks and potholes and stuff, it definitely smooths things out, having the suspension. And again, the fun design of it, you got the fender on the front, and it's not the closest fender, right, because it's part of the suspension, and so that gives it room to travel, but it does keep you a little bit more dry. And the fact that it's got lights, LED light on the front, yes, it's mounted to the fender, it can kind of bounce around, but it's actually a little bit more solid than some of the older designs. This is 2014, I'm looking at this right now, and you can aim it, just kind of point it down at the road. Same thing on the back, got a nice LED light, and they all run off the central battery pack, which is pretty cool. It uses Samsung cells, lithium, manganese, cobalt, good stuff. 36 volt, 10 amp hour, which is kind of standard size. The pack's removable. You can charge it on or off the bike. It does rattle around a little bit, like you can kind of see that. But again, it's kind of about keeping that lower price point. You can actually take out the keys when it's on or off, so you don't have to leave those jingling around, which is really nice. The motor on this thing is a 250 watt, again, sort of the mid-drive that we've got here, and yeah, it's interesting the way that it works. You can either activate this with twist throttle. So let me step back. You turn the bike on with the on button here, and then you pick a mode, low, medium, or high. And depending on what mode you're on, that's the pedal assist, like how much power you're gonna get. And immediately you're in pedal assist at all times. You can override pedal assist using the throttle. You twist it, and it gives you as much power as is possible in one of these 3 modes. The pedal assist itself is activated by this little magnetic sensor ring here. So see, there's the receiver, and there's the magnet, and as it goes by, it just tells the motor to start or stop. So it can be a little bit more like, oh, start, oh, stop, right? It's not quite as smooth because there aren't sensors telling the bike how fast you're going or how hard you're pushing. There's no torque sensor. But that's all part of the, the price equation. And I love that you can override it with the throttle, because that means, you know, if you're going through a puddle, you can kind of keep your feet out of the way and you can just throttle to get yourself going, all of that stuff. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna hop on and do a quick little ride test with you. I do like that the handlebars are adjustable here. It's not the greatest setup in the world. Make sure it's tight, because over time, if you're riding with this and going off bumps and stuff, this could start to loosen up, and if you don't keep it tight, it can kind of wear out and become sloppy. You do decent ergonomic grips, the whole setup. Yeah, so let's see here. The kickstand, I'm currently in high, so pedaling, there we go. So you can clearly see it starts pretty quickly as soon as I pedal, but then it keeps going for a little while. It's not the most responsive that way, but if you use the brake, it cuts off. And much more responsive. And that's one of the benefits of those Tektro brakes. So now I'm gonna use the throttle and show you from the other side. So depending which gear you're in, this thing has a top speed of 20 miles per hour, and it can either be a better climber with a low gear, or it's gonna go a little faster if you get one of those high gears in the back. And the frame, you know, again, I mentioned the weight being a little high and a little heavier. It works out all right, I think in part because you've got that mid-mounted motor, and it just keeps everything low and center. So I really like that. That's the iGo Titan. For more on this and other electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com.